covered this already in detail. So let's skip this one. User stories, you know that 3 C's and the invest principle, very important for writing a good user story. In the backlog, we are talking about the backlog, maintaining, grooming, and the roles involved and all that stuff. So one of the important things with respect to backlog, I just want to cover quickly, is basically that anybody can maintain a backlog. It's not just the BAs. Anybody can actually add the items to the backlog. And then the point is, it's all about how we move. It's a fluid document. It's not one static one. It's very fluid. You can actually chuck in anything in there. It could be a change requirement. It could be a new requirement. It could be a task. It could be a technical work, piece of work. It could be a defect that you just logged in. Everything goes into the backlog. It has, as I mentioned, has got both functional and non-functional technical stuff as well. And we also add a lot of different details to that. We add estimates, we add estimate detailing, like for example, the priority of that particular thing, the MoSCoW prioritization for each of the items there. So all of that would be called as an item. And then you can actually club those into different things, you know, epics, themes, and features. That's what you might come across in the Agile terminology. We'll discuss that in the greater detail in the Agile course coming up next month. And basically, we have got different types of backlog. One is the whole product-based backlog, which is for the entire product. You're developing a CRM application, you're developing a mobile application for fitness, for example. So all for the entire product you keep maintaining one backlog, just one for the entire lifetime of the product. And then you actually prioritize and take some things out of this 100,000 requirements, tasks. You prioritize, you just take some of these and then assign it to a particular iteration. That's what we call as sprint or iteration backlog. So that actually is like to be done in the first month. These set of 10 items need to be done in month 2, this is month 3, so on and so forth. So that's called the iteration backlog, the sprint backlog in Scrum terminology. And the overall product backlog, you got one. So that is the entire, you know, the backlog for the whole of the life cycle. So estimation, again, just quickly brushing through, don't want to spend much time. There's a lot of estimation techniques. It's all about sizing, whether it is a small, medium, or large. And that's why we call it as a relative estimation in Agile methodologies. So it's also called t-shirt sizing. So you might have, again, this is a lot of different tools and techniques that people might use. Don't get confused. T-shirt sizing is all about, like, for example, the extra small, small, medium, large, extra large, and double XL. So depending on the context, it changes. What is a small might differ from the organization that you're working on from what I'm working on. Even team that you're working on might have a different scale of how you define a small compared to mine. So that's again something that we need to know. And then the MoSCoW prioritization, moving on, must have. This is the most important, the fundamental stuff. So without them, we will not be able to release the product. Very important, very urgent, and should have. The next level is should have, important, but may not be urgent. They're need to have, but then they're, we can still deliver the product without them. So that's why it is called should have. That's again necessary, but they're not sufficient. Again, could have is negotiable. You can always replace this. Okay, it's fine. We can replace this one. We can still go ahead with the release. I don't need to actually have the ability to, for example, interface with a third-party application in this requirement. That's fine. We can move on to the next one, and then still, it's a nice to have requirement. So that's why it can be replaced quickly. This is important, but not urgent. And then you've got the will not have in this release. So basically, that's the W. You don't have that. You just need to chuck it out of the, this is the bottom of the pile, and then perhaps the first one to go out of the sprint backlog or the iteration backlog. This is not required. For example, something to do with, if you are in the first phase of your product, you don't want to actually have the fancy bells and whistles, accessibility, or fantastic animations in your product. You don't need all of those. The most important things would be about what adds value to the customers and users. So you would address those, and the rest of the things all will be like, we don't have to have now. So they all will come under the will not have kind of a thing. So they're not important, they're not urgent. So they're just, lying at the bottom of the pile, but still you might actually want to have a look at them when you are trying to groom the backlog. That's what it's called, grooming the backlog. So when you do the backlog grooming or backlog refinement, you would then be able to actually look at all the items. The thing that would have been useless a couple of months ago might be very important now, very urgent now. So you can actually push it up the importance and urgency.